Hello everyone, welcome to Piccadilly Stampin'. I'm Pamela Pick. So stick around for a while and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any of my tutorials. Leave a comment down below if you like what I did today. So today I have a short video for you. It's not going to be one of my Piccadillys, which are 10 to 15 minutes long. This one has a little bit more to it, so it's going to take a little bit longer, but it will be one of my shorter videos. So let's get started. I belong to a club called Stamping Tuesday, and every catalog that comes out, we take a look at the card layouts that they have in catalogs. This is from our new August-December 2020 mini catalog that came out, and this is the card that I actually picked out for the layout to follow. Now normally this fits like my Piccadillys kind of, or my Fast Fridays, those quick little cards I like to make, but I decided to step up a card and show you other things that I can do also. So let's get started. I took this layout. You have kind of a sentiment in the middle and some ribbon behind it with some DSP, and I decided to flip the card layout, and this is what I came up with. So here are the cards. It's a really cool, quick little technique that if you want to make a lot of, I'm going to be using the Stamparatus today. So I took the same idea of the card layout, I just made it my own. Let's get started. We're going to be making this one here in the peach. I used the dry brush stamp set. This is a background stamp. We're going to be using that on the Stamparatus. I used the Band Together. Now these are sold separately, so there's no discount, but I am going to be using the die pack as well as the stamp set. For the stamp set, I love this You Are Amazing, and so this is the image that I'll be using, and I use this little oval die cut because it was perfect size for it, and then I wanted a little bit of a flourish, and they have this little flourish in there, so I use them together. Again, these are sold separately. You can't get a bundle deal on this anymore, but they do go together. Beautiful little set, by the way. And then the Ornate Style. Now this one, I love this, and I've been using these dies a lot. As you can see, they're kind of scattered all over the place, but this is a beautiful little die set, and it has this really cool floral image that's large, so we're going to be using that also in the Stamparatus. Now this set does give you an extra 10% discount if you buy them together at the same time. All right, let's get started. I'm going to pull in my Stamparatus. I'm going to right away pull off the magnets on the back, and I'm going to be using both of the plates today for this. So I'm going to have that open. If you noticed, I kept my magnets separated. If you put them together, they're very sticky. So just a little tip, I use duct tape because I want something that's very easy. If they do get stuck together, I can pull them apart. So I have duct tape on mine. But these, if they clamp together too hard, will break. The duct tape also helps with keeping them from breaking. So that's how I keep mine apart and how I store them. And I'm going to be using our, and let me pull this out really quick. The Stamparatus you can find in our regular catalog. This is a invaluable tool to me. You can't put any price on it. I've had other tools. This is my favorite one. It's $49. It's on page 164 of our catalog. I am going to be using the Stamparatus Deluxe Foam Mat. That's $6. And then I'm going to be using some of the small grid paper today. You can find that all on page 164 of our current annual catalog. So let me pull this in. So this is the Deluxe Foam Mat. Now I have this stuck down a bit, but let me show you. I love it because you have that foam for any of your photopolymer sets. And whereas I'm going to be using the red rubber, but I'm still going to be using this today. I just like the imprint of having it on there. So you can use this alone and wipe it off when you're done, but I am going to use some of our grid paper just because, here, you can see I've used it a couple times, but it'll be fine. I'm going to stick it on here because it's just, I don't like to clean it up, so that's why I do it. I'm going to start off, and as you notice, I have it sticky on one side or the other. I did that on purpose. So I'm going to use some Stampin' Seal, not the Stampin' Seal Plus, but you just put a little line of it down, not much, just a teensy little bit. And then I'm going to use my finger to make it so it's not so sticky. I want it to hold my paper in place because my magnets are not going to be on my paper because my paper size is smaller than my first stamp. So I just want something to kind of hold it in place. Now, as you notice, I don't stamp up in the corner. I always use the grid lineup, whether it's on this or if it's on the actual deluxe stamp mat. I just line it up into the corner and set this down on top of it. Now that's going to be the back side of my paper, so I don't care if it tears a little bit, but it usually doesn't if you detack it enough. I am going to, however, use these to kind of hold down this paper onto my mat. So I have a piece of black. This is cut at 4 by 5 1/4. So my layer is just 1/8 shorter. So it's 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. Okay. And how I start off, I'm going to put this back, is I'm going to lay my image so that I know that it's covering. And I kind of made it crooked there. Like so. And pick it up. Perfect. So we know that this is going to cover all of that because we can't see any of that white. I don't care which side it's on or anything. There was no rhyme or reason. And then the same thing with this. Now I know that I want these leaves up, so I'm just going to place this in my image. Kind of moved my paper. There we go. And I think I want it just a little bit more over where I want that to be stamped, and then pick it up. Okay, it's ready to go. So the color palette that I chose was Calypso Coral and Daffodil Delight. As you can see from the card, you can see the card that I had done previously. I had Coastal Cabana and Granny Apple Green here, and I have it going this way. And now on this one, I have it going the other way. So it just depends on how you want the diagonal to go with your 2 stamp pads. The biggest thing is always start with your lighter of the 2 stamp pads. So I'm going to go with my daffodil because it's the lighter. And so I have it going this way over. And so I'm going to do it a little bit different, and I'm going to go the other way. And since I can't tell if I'm off camera or not, I'm going to move this just a hair over just to make sure that you guys can see what I'm doing here with the stamping. So I'm going to go this side to this side, and I'm going to stamp up the top very well. I will say this. The one thing is when you're stamping, you can get little lines in your stamps. So fairly even pressure over and go just a little bit farther with your lighter stamp, okay? Because we're going to overlap them. So I'm going to shut this one and open the Calypso Coral. And I'm going to come right back over this with this color, and I'm going to make sure that I overlap a little bit. The great thing about having it on the Stamparatus is that if I don't like the coverage, I can come back. So I'm going to put some firm pressure on here. and give that ink a moment to transfer. See? Okay, so now if I do it again, I should have started with the light, but what I'm looking for is the coverage on the dark piece right down here. Perfect. Plus it gave it enough darkness. Now this will get lighter as it dries. To clean, all you have to do is, while this is hooked up, you can just clean it off like so. Go from the, I always go from the light into the dark side. Okay, now I want to make sure that I'm in camera. I'm going to take the black. I hope this is, can you see that I'm inking up this top plate with that image? Again, firm pressure and giving enough time for that ink to transfer. If you don't get it all where you need it to be, you can always re-ink. And sometimes I do just because I want that to be very black. That pop that you heard was it was laying up against my markers. Okay, perfect. That makes a very crisp black image. Okay, and I was just using the Tuxedo Black Memento ink. Now, just for time's sakes, I'm going to go ahead and pull this off, and that can go down. You can't store these with them both closed. You have to do one over the other. I'm just going to move that out of the way for the moment and bring in another. Isn't that pretty? Oh, I just love it, just like that. I like that kind of brush stroke to it. So I'm going to glue this onto that black mat. I use the green glue because, again, it gives me a minute to kind of get that straight since I have such a small 1/8 inch mat on there. Okay. There we go. Now I'm going to bring in a piece of Whisper White. I'm sorry, this is Petal Pink. This is going to be the card base. And I'm just going to glue this down to it. Again, using the multi-purpose Tombow glue. And then I can kind of wiggle it right into place. I have trouble sometimes. I know some people use the tape rollers. That's great. I sometimes have trouble with it. So, all right, let me bring this stamp mat back. I just think it helps for me to see the color instead of white on white. So I'm gonna try my best to center this right on here with the sentiment. I'm using the same Tuxedo Black Memento ink, not too shabby. And then I want to pull in the Label Me Lovely punch and just cut out a piece in the petal pink. and grab a couple of dimensionals. When I say a couple, I mean 3. I don't know where that came out to be a couple, but let me get my little dimensional back bowl here. I put some little scraps in that, otherwise I have them all over my house. Okay, and I'm just going to center this on to that punch. Now let's bring back in our image, and I know that I'm going to center this kind of right there. So it's okay that I'm going to be putting straight glue right on here. So this is the Stampin' Seal. You can use the Stampin' Seal or the Stampin' Seal Plus. And you don't have to push as hard as I am, and you don't have to make that check mark. I'm so in the habit of doing that from the fast fuse that I find myself still doing it. This is our ruched ribbon in Daffodil Delight, and I was hoping it would tell me it is 1/4 inch, and I'm just going to take this and I'm going the opposite way now this time, and I want that to go down just a little farther, I think, into the center of this at a diagonal, and I'll use the paper snips to trim them at an angle. Isn't that cute? Okay, now we need more dimensionals. Oh, that's at the bottom. Okay. Not that this card is difficult, it's just not as fast as my Piccadillys. Okay, and set this on there in the middle. And then I'm going to bring in some glue dots. Now I cut these out in Granny Apple Green. Old Olive would look really pretty. Pear Pizzazz would look really pretty, and even Garden Green would actually look really pretty. So I think what I'm going to do, I want to take a look at this here real quick. I think I'm going to pinch off the bottom of that. Pinch off the bottom of that because I just want a little bit showing. I'm going to glue these together. Kind of offset from one another, like so. Kind of look where I want that, right there. And then I'll glue another one, put another glue dot on it. And this is where I like to use, you can use whatever you want. I like to use a little pokey tool sometimes to make sure that I get this in there and down right where I want. Perfect. Now let's pull out our embellishments, and I have the champagne rhinestones, which I think look really good with this. So let's put a couple of the large ones there, and maybe, I think I'm going to bring that closer, right there. So there you have it. Now, it's so cute. Now see, it just depends which way you go. This one's going this way, this one's going this way, this one's going that way too. They're so adorable, and I love that "you are amazing" saying. So that's what I have for you today. I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, so if you can't live without these products, you can get them and purchase them right with my online store. I'm going to hook a link in the description to my online store, plus several other little tidbits of where you can find me on Pinterest or Facebook. Go ahead and like this video. Leave a comment if you liked how impressive these are. I think they are. I hope it was a step up from the regular one. And let me bring that back in. So you can just step it up, making your own little background stamp, designer series paper or pattern paper with just your stamps. So really this was a lot of just ink and paper to make this card, a few embellishments. So cute. I appreciate you joining me today, and I will see you next time right here on Piccadilly Stamping. Take care.